My name is Jody Lilly, and I would like to do what I'm going to call a goddess, Astro-Goddess report today. So a little bit of Goddess of Now and a little bit of the astrology that's going on. Goddess of Now, because now is always our point of power, and if we are oriented within ourselves to what's really ripe and ready, then we are much more effective in our lives. But off on the astrological side, we have a lot of Scorpio energy right now. This is definitely Scorpio season. The sun is in Scorpio. It entered Scorpio on October 22nd and will be there for a month until about November 22nd. Jupiter has been in Scorpio since 1010, which was the beginning of the Me Too phenomenon, and Jupiter expands what it touches. And Scorpio is the sign of sex, death, and rebirth. So here we are. Here we are with this whole sexual underbelly that's been going on in Hollywood and in Washington, D.C. and pretty much everywhere. But those two really are such focal points for the news that we hear more, and we can all relate to those things. I mean, we have a reference, we have a context for those two settings. And it's not a stretch to think that sex is, you know, kind of part of this manipulation that goes on in the machine that is Hollywood and is our government. So here we are, all these disclosures that are coming out. Jupiter expands what it touches, as I said, and it will be in Scorpio for a year. So we can look forward to more of these kinds of revelations coming up. And the good thing about this is that it allows for healing to happen. And there's two sides to Scorpio. Scorpio is the kind of descent into the underworld, which is the scorpion part of the Scorpio, where it delves very deep into what goes on under the surface, and a lot of underground kinds of phenomenon happen there. Like the mafia, the deep state government, the things that go into the sausage that they don't show you, what it takes to make a sausage. In the secrets that are held by the religious sects and the spiritual, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so Scorpio is where all the bodies are buried, but it is also the other side of Scorpio is once we have plumbed the depths and we know what's in there, then comes the ascent, and that is the eagle icon for Scorpio. That is when the phoenix when the buildings have burned down and the phoenix rises from the ashes. That's the other part of Scorpio. So it's also this empowered, deep understanding, higher perspective of, excuse me, why things are the way they are. So it should be an interesting year for that reason. But right now we have Mercury in Scorpio. So our thought processes are more focused on, what's really going on, what goes on beneath the surface. What do they mean by that? Scorpio is a sign of psychology. So it's getting at these subconscious memories and beliefs is part and parcel of Scorpio. And I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of memories come up in the last few weeks about situations that occurred when I was younger and that were very sexual in nature, things that I was not comfortable with, or that I felt the effect of, and that I had shame around, whether it was, because of a decision I made or something else that was sort of put upon me that was unwanted. And this is actually clearing out this old material. And when memories are coming up, It means that we are becoming, they're actually on the way out. They're actually going from these places where they got shoved down because they were too much for us at the time that they happened to deal with. And they come back up again when we are ready to understand them, and when we have the context and the capacity to actually heal them. So this is good news, all these memories that are coming up. But the requirement is that we acknowledge them, that we allow them, that we let ourselves really know the effect that they had on us, because they've been coloring our lives ever since they happened, you know. And for pretty much all of us, it wasn't just one situation that happened. There's many. I've noticed I've had like clusters of memories that happened over a period of time, but I could see the relationship between them. And sometimes they come up, you know, one after another, which is really like, oh man, that was ugly. You know, wow, I've really been carrying that around all this time. So, but liberation comes when we are able to consciously see them and realize that we have held them all this time, and that they've affected us. They've affected our sense of who we are. They've affected our confidence level, our ability to interact with other people, our ability to assert ourselves in the world. You know, they have multi-pronged effects. And as we bring them to consciousness, or as they arise in our consciousness, we have the opportunity to actually release them and forgive ourselves and forgive whoever else was involved in this, not because they are, you know, shouldn't be held responsible, but because holding on to this does not change anything. It keeps us bound to these uncomfortable memories. So, and the effects that they've had on us continue as long as we hang on to them. So, Scorpio, we want to rise like the phoenix. We do not want to be stuck in hell with this stuff. And there's no good reason anymore to hold on to it. I mean, we hold on to it as long as we need to. But the reality is that it's better to let it go in terms of your own health and well-being, and being free to actually express parts of you that got shoved down with the terrible memories or the traumas. So that's the way, that's the road forward. And the goddess of now talks to us about being able to understand that you are divine, that there's a much more to you than anyone ever told you, that you have powers far beyond what you've ever understood that you have, and that you are here to make a holy difference. And that happens in a multitude of ways, that you have your own path forward that is unique to you, and that uses the very best parts of you and the best parts of what you have learned and cultivated in your life. So the good news is Scorpio is a sign of healing on very, very deep levels. And it doesn't always feel like fun. And it doesn't always feel even like we can possibly do it. But there is an organic kind of power that takes over as we're willing to heal. And this is a good time for that. There's very we can heal now in ways that we couldn't before. You know, and a lot of people have talked about, you know, why didn't these women come forward? Why didn't these women say something a long time ago? A lot of these women did. And a lot of people have tried, men and women, have tried to get this out there in some way. And there just wasn't a vehicle for doing that. You know, there wasn't a structure in place for doing that. And there wasn't you know, society was not willing to recognize that this was going on and that all of these people were being compromised, and it really compromised. And today is a new day with all of this Scorpio energy that we have going on now. We're ready to see it. We're ready to hear it. People realize that, you know, there's a lot more to the story, and it matters. It matters that we are respectful of one another, and it matters that we care that somebody has been not only compromised, but traumatized, and that this is a way that people have, this has been business as usual. This is no more. Jupiter and Scorpio. Jupiter in Scorpio is the liberator. And it is going to continue to shine a light on all of these shadowy places. And it is going to show us a very different picture of the world going forward. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing. We may not want to see it. We may not want to have our bubbles popped in that way. But those bubbles aren't protecting us, and they're not giving us a road forward. You know, it just keeps looping. It just keeps looping through this hellish scenario, and more and more and more people are being exposed to that and compromised in that way. And that's not okay anymore. We know better. We know better, and now we can do better. Let's let love lead. What about that?